Dave Mustaine said that while he'd love another Big Four tour to happen, he is definitely bothered by Metallica's attitude in the whole thing, telling Eddie Trunk. "I think if you asked the three of us, Megadeth, Slayer and Anthrax, that our camps would probably say yes. If Anthrax, Slayer and Megadeth all wanna do it, and Metallica doesn't, then what do we do? The big three? I'm sure that a lot of people would like to see that, and that may be what it is. You know, you may end up having it be the big three plus number 5, if we have Exodus play with it. But it's not about just doing concerts for the sake of concerts, it was about the movement, it was about what we did together as a group. And excluding Anthrax, we were all like neighbors almost, 'cause we all lived so close, it was just a half hour to an hour at the most between each other's houses on the freeway. So I think it would be great to do more Big Four stuff, do one in Japan, do one in South America, we never did one in South America, we haven't done one in Asia. Give the people an opportunity to see it before it goes away forever." Asked if there was a highlight moment from the previous Big Four gigs that really stands out to him, Mustaine replied, "Not really. They all had significance to it. I think that the playing at the end was fun too. But I think it always kind of soured to me when you watch Kirk Hammett say on the DVD, The Big Four, live from Sofia, Bulgaria, when they're praying, and he says that we are the big one. That just kind of shows you how the mentality was there, that it really wasn't the Big Four, it was Metallica and then the three of us. I would love to see it done in a way where we all got treated fairly and we all played together, same amount of time, same kind of stage situation, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And it's cool, because Slayer's gonna down in history, and they don't need the Big Four to make them any more legendary than they already are. Nor do I." With an interview with the Irish Times, Slayer guitarist Kerry King was asked for his opinion on the fact that Metallica hasn't released a new studio album in 7 years. This was before Hardwired to Self-Destruct came out. He responded, "Funny thing is, I brought that up last night. We were sitting around having some shots, and I said, when's Metallica doing a new record?" He continued, "When you think about it, it's kind of like us. You don't have to put out a new record. People will come up to a certain point, because you've got such a catalog. You can just keeping changing songs." King added, Metallica, are really living on the first 5 records, I think. I'm not sure a new record makes sense for them. Death Magnetic, 2008, was a nice version compared to Saint Anger, 2003. Hopefully, they keep going along that line and get some of the riffs back. According to Kerry, part of the reason for the longer gap between albums is the fact that people keep offering you money to come out and play. Other than the tragedies we had in Slayer, we got offers to play a lot. You really got to sit down and say, I'm not going to do that right now. That being said, usually when we were doing this recording cycle, we don't go out and play when we are recording, but this time we did, because people made offers and we say, that sounds like a good idea. It doesn't sound like it on Repentless, but it takes your momentum away because you've got to go out, learn your catalog and play it and then come back and work on new stuff. In a Guitar World issue, Kerry King discussed his relationship with his Slayer partner Jeff Hanneman, and how they were never best of friends. This is what he said. Anytime we would finish a tour, Jeff would just go home and detach. He might have lived only 45 minutes away, but unless you were part of his inner circle, it was hard to stay in touch with him. And it took me a few years to understand that. For a while I was just like, why isn't this guy calling me back? But as I got older, I just realized that that was who Jeff was. I don't think Jeff and I were ever best friends. I think we were probably the closest in the band, but never best friends. To put it in a way that everyone could understand, Jeff and I were like business partners. Was he my friend? Of course he was my friend. But we didn't really act like that. The last time I was at Jeff's house was January 2003. We went to his place to watch the Raiders in the playoffs. And it sounds horrible, but it wasn't horrible. That was just how it was. Speaking with RVA Mag, King admitted that his band does live off their history a bit, stating, we're living on our history for sure, but so is everyone else, yet we're the ones trying to push ourselves forward. He adds, I would say Iron Maiden and Metallica, no offense, are living on past success. Metallica has toured forever on the Black Record, which a lot of people don't like. I actually like it. It's heavy as can be. Is it Master of Puppets? Course not, but it's a great record. Iron Maiden for me is living off their first 3 records. Have they made good songs since then? Yeah, but they haven't made great records. I like to think we're still making great records, and as much as people come out wanting to hear Rain in Blood and Angel of Death, they also want to hear Disciple or even Implode. From there, the conversation turned to the state of the record industry. The guitarist says he no longer views album sales as a good barometer, stating, "My barometer is the live show where people show up. That means people are into the music, whether the record is selling or not. They have it, they know it, and we can play it and have them sing it right back to us. That's pretty much how it shows me people are still into, regardless of sales." Do you agree with Kerry King? Are Metallica only living a past success? And are they more or less irrelevant? Tell us your thoughts down below.
During a recent interview, Slayer guitarist Kerry King talked about Censorship, discussing the band's recent live debut in Singapore and being banned to play certain songs by the government due to religious beliefs. He said, "I think religion is just a big farce, and I think people use it as a crutch as opposed to dealing with the problems in their lives." This is what he said.
We just played Singapore for the first time. And like the day before we played, we got there, a couple days early, I guess, do some press or whatever. And the night before we played, we found out the government came in and said, "Okay, here's 5 songs, you can't play these songs." And I thought to myself, how oppressed is your country when you're scared of music and you think by us playing this song, things are going to happen to your children? It just doesn't make sense to me.
But even in the Western world, like in the States or whatever, you always have problems.
Well, in the States, I know in California we had bus benches, we had like advertisements on bus benches, and one city had them all pulled. It blows me away, because common sense to me is like, if that offends you, don't look at it. Maybe somebody else won't be offended. And it's just ironic in this day and age, things like that can still happen.
Is it still important for a band like Slayer nowadays to offend people?
I don't even think we're trying to. I just think, we're making up music that we like and writing about subjects that we like, and it just upsets people. I mean, I knew when we did Jihad that we're gonna have to answer for it, and that's okay. But all the other ones, like I didn't write Cult because I wanted to. I didn't write Cult because I thought, people are just going to say, "Oh, these guys are the devil." Cult is how I feel. I think religion is just a big farce, and I think people use it as a crutch as opposed to dealing with the problems in their life. So,
I think a lot of people think that Jihad is something like Angel of Death Part 2.
Yeah, people. I knew we're going to get the exact kind of response because it's fresh. People say, "How could you write such a song?" And realistically, it's just like reading the newspaper, but it's got music put on top of it or underneath it. So you got music and you're reading an editorial from, some Muslim country, And because we didn't condemn it, just like we didn't do an Angel of Death, that makes us, Muslim sympathizers, and it's crazy. People got too much time on their hands to think about what Slayer's doing. Just listen to the music and have fun, I think people should be allowed to make their own choice. I think people should think for themselves. I think people should listen to music because they like it, not because they're listening to it to pick things out that are wrong with it. I mean, we're not all adults, but there are children on the planet, and there are people that, shouldn't even be making decisions that do. But, I'm all about answering for what I do. Like I said about the bus benches, if you don't like music, don't listen to it. If you don't like the TV show, watch another TV show. If you don't like horror movies, go see, Click, go see comedy, There's choices. You don't have to listen to this. It's not like when we put out a record and it's mandatory listening for everyone on the planet. It's not like that. You have a choice.
Discussing the importance of rhythm guitar, Slayer guitarist Kerry King shared his thoughts on shredders, saying that their music tends to easily bore him as repetitive. He tells Total Guitar, "I think a lot of the shredder-type players, and I don't mean everybody, they're not very good songwriters. Players like Dave Mustaine spend their time perfecting what they do only as far as leads. Yngwie had a run where he did some good songs, but when it became just about how many notes he can fit in a millisecond." King added, "Don't get me wrong, he's an amazing player, but after 3 songs, I'm done. He'll just keep doing it faster on a different string." Rhythm guitar is where a song is constructed. If there's a song you like, it's because of that rhythm guitar. The lead stuff at the end of the day is just the icing. During the rest of the chat, King discussed hanging out with friends who aren't into metal, explaining how he still likes goofing around with guitar. When people come over and want to listen to music most people like, say Michael Jackson or something, I'll go pick up the guitar and learn the one Eddie Van Halen played on. I'll do stupid shit like that, he said. There's this song called Push It, which got used in commercials, and I think it's funny to put that on when friends are over, pick up a guitar and play along. Everyone in the house just dies laughing. For clarity, you can turn that into a metal song. Discussing his involvement with Megadeth during the band's early stages, Slayer guitarist Kerry King praised frontman Dave Mustaine's guitar skills, but still said that he can't figure out how anyone put up with Dave's character enough to stay in the band. He told Loudwire, "I was one of the lucky people, and there's certainly no offense against Kirk Hammett. Kirk's a wonderful friend of mine, but I was lucky enough to see Metallica with Mustaine. And I say that because it's just a rare thing to be able to say that. I saw them play with Woodstock, and I was so intrigued by Mustaine because he was just ripping on guitar and looking out that way somewhere. And I can't do that to this day. So I was just blown away at his guitar playing. And to find out, I think it was through BC Rich, cause we all played BC Rich back then, I found out that Dave was inquiring if I would play." He continued, "At the end of the day, I thought, this is a gigantic learning situation. And I also thought people would see me and know me from Slayer. Cause, I mean, we only went to the Bay Area, we only got up there. So I think, if people saw me, it would at least make them think, Slayer. So I had Slayer's best intentions in mind. I didn't go and say, hey, I want to be in Megadeth. I don't know how anybody can be in Megadeth for more than a couple of hours, cause that guy's crazy." Asked if he had any bad experiences with Mustaine during his short time in the band back in 1984, King replied, "He was cooler back then. I think there's been a lot of drugs and funny extracurriculars between now and then that helped shape who he is today. But it was good times back then. Playing all the venues Slayer played on, just, I don't know, playing different music. His stuff is definitely more, I wouldn't say intricate, cause we've got intricate parts too, but it's just, he writes riffs in a very different perspective than I'd, even after playing with him for a number of months. I wouldn't do it. It's just not my style." In a recent interview, Slayer guitarist Kerry King was asked for his opinion of the Swedish occult rockers Ghost, who share management with Slayer and have toured with King's band in the past. He said, "Dude, I love the imagery. I love it. I just hate the fucking music. I like them as people. You know, they've been on many tours with us. I can't get into their music. And I tried. I wanna like them, and I can't. I got their CD from Brian Slagel from Metal Blade. It was when Gary Holt first started playing with us, and I picked up Gary. And I'm like, Brian said, this is awesome, man. So we put it in, going to practice. It wasn't awesome. It wasn't awesome for me. It wasn't awesome for Gary either. I'm like, well, maybe the first song sucks. And we went to the next one. It's just not for me. I know Ghost is hugely popular, and I'm very happy for their popularity. And, like I said, they're the nicest guys you'll ever meet. It's just not my music. And I've tried so hard." Since then, a nameless school from Ghost responded to what Kerry King said, dismissing any bad blood over Kerry King comments. He said, "I don't even think that what he said was negative. He just said that he didn't like the band, that he didn't like the music. And you know, we're not for everybody. We've never tried to please everybody, so I didn't even see the negative element in what he said. It doesn't change my opinion on Slayer. I've been a Slayer fan ever since I was a kid, and I still love several of their records with all my heart. For me, it wasn't changing anything." In a recent interview, Slayer guitarist Kerry King was asked for his opinion of the Swedish occult rockers Ghost, who share management with Slayer and have toured with King's band in the past. He said, "Dude, I love the imagery. I love it. I just hate the fucking music. I like them as people. You know, they've been on many tours with us. I can't get into their music. And I tried. I wanna like them, and I can't. I got their CD from Brian Slagel from Metal Blade. It was when Gary Holt first started playing with us, and I picked up Gary. And I'm like, Brian said, this is awesome, man. So we put it in, going to practice. It wasn't awesome. It wasn't awesome for me. It wasn't awesome for Gary either. I'm like, well, maybe the first song sucks. And we went to the next one. It's just not for me. I know Ghost is hugely popular, and I'm very happy for their popularity. And, like I said, they're the nicest guys you'll ever meet. It's just not my music. And I've tried so hard. Since then, a nameless school from Ghost responded to what Kerry King said, dismissing any bad blood over Kerry King comments. He said, I don't even think that what he said was negative. He just said that he didn't like the band, that he didn't like the music. And you know, we're not for everybody. We've never tried to please everybody, so I didn't even see the negative element in what he said. It doesn't change my opinion on Slayer. I've been a Slayer fan ever since I was a kid, and I still love several of their records with all my heart. For me, it wasn't changing anything.